We were promised a nice snowstorm, but Baruch Hashem, it's because of the shiur, it was so different. Now we can make it. Today it was a special week in the parasha when you read in the Torah about, we call it Ma'amad Har Sinai, when 600,000 males, 3 million people were witnessing this unique event that God spoke to human being. And I was thinking today to learn today, beside of ideology, but to learn. And to ask ourselves a question that people like to ask all the time, and it's I had a case Thursday night, somebody came and asked me these questions. And he said, Rabbi Yehoshua, with all the respect, you are not the only one who represents religion on this earth. There is other people who represent religion. And what make your statement stronger than others? And it's a very good question, because in the month of Tevet, there is the 9th day of Tevet. The Gemara says there is a certain Masechet and day that people used to fast. And they say the fast over there happened because our Torah was translated to the Greek language 2,200 years ago. And why he says it's a day of fasting? Because it wasn't the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. It was, you go to the Bible, to the library, and you ask them, I want to see the part talk about religion. And you go over there and you see over there a lot of columns. Christianity, Jewish, Muslim, Buddha, and all the list over there. And you have to choose one. So in a way, by translating it, you don't make it more popular, you make it one off. And then it's become all discussion. So you ask me, Rabbi, what makes your Torah so special?
Who's the Jew asking?
There is a Jewish guy that unfortunately is going to marry an African American that's practicing religion, and the parents asked me to talk to them. No. African American, nothing to do with Judaism. And he was very, we gave 1 hour, we were talking and asking, and he asked me a good question. He said, Rabbi Yehoshua, you say that I have to, if she wants, she has to convert, she has to do the right thing. Why shouldn't I go to her way? Which is a question that people are asking. He did in a very respectful way, but he made his point that he really want to fight for this. But Baruch Hashem, I think that I gave him a few ways of how to deal with this situation. You're welcome. Today, who represents the major religion in this world? There is the Eastern religion that talks about all kind of gods. There's Sunday God, Monday God, Tuesday God, which Avodat Elohim, thank God, most of the modern world is really concentrate on the 3 major religions today in the world is Christianity, Muslim, and Judaism. And the most important fact that we are going to discuss, that in our parasha is discussed, is that when was the mission, how was the mission given to the head of this religion? In the Islam, in their books, they say that their prophet Muhammad say that the angel Gabriel spoke to him. But there is one problem. Nobody was there to say yes or no. We just say that he got a message from an angel. It was the middle of the night or middle of the day, but it was something, an event that took place according to what they say, but nobody, they never claimed that somebody was presenting and can testify. They just say that I got the message. In our Torah, in our parasha, we say that the Torah was given to Moshe, and God spoke to Moshe at the presence of millions of people. And this is something that it's a major difference, and I believe it's something which is it's a fact that you cannot reject it, because if you say I spoke to somebody, nobody saw him, over here he talks about millions of people, and when Moshe wrote it in the Torah, none of the Jews over there argue with him, and they knew how to argue. If you're going to listen in the desert, how they were questioning Moshe Rabbeinu from A to Z. They were questioning and questioning. But when he told them, you remember when we stood in the Mount Sinai and God spoke to me? Nobody said no. They were questioning other things. They want to be involved too. Korach wants to be involved, his cousin. But the fact that there was Ma'amad Har Sinai, nobody argues. And none of the other religion can contradict it. Therefore, they accept the idea that there was, even today, the Muslim, they accept the fact that Moses went to Mount Sinai and received the Torah. They call to Moshe Rabbeinu Kalimullah, the word of God. And in the Christianity, they accept Moshe Rabbeinu, they tell the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, they accept it. So today, all the religion in the world that talks about one God accept the fact the Jews had this event of that God spoke to them in this major event, with millions of people are witnessing this. But still, you can tell me, Rabbi, it's written in the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu brought to us. I want to ask yourself, what are the tools that we have that the Torah that we are holding is a real document and not a human thinking document? And we're living in a secular world, especially after the philosophy started to become a major component in our life, the Greek and the Roman philosophy, which is the foundation of the modern civilization. Over there, they put they insert the idea of human being has the right to question everything, and and it's a question. So I'm going to start to answer this question from a few angles and with facts as much as we can. And that hopefully by the end of the evening you will say, Rabbi, it's not that we just keep the Torah because our parents told us, because this is the ultimate truth apparently. But I try to, I'm going ahead a few steps. Let's start from Bereshit bara Elokim. The plus that we have now in our days is we can check the text of the Torah in a perspective of almost 3,500 years. Which means, if somebody told them at that time and told them about the future, like even prophecies, it was very difficult to judge if right or wrong. But over here, when I have 3,500 years of gap, of difference, I can go to there and say what was written over there and what happened today. So today I'm in a much better condition to check the validity of the document that we call the Torah. I would like this the first way to attack this question is talk about another book of laws that was in the same time, well, less before the Torah was given. The first civilization in the world that we know, the history of the written civilization, it happened somewhere in the Mesopotamia today when Saddam Hussein was there, and it's called over there was it's called Sumer and Akkad. And one of their main prominent leaders, his name was Hammurabi. And he wrote a codex of laws, a very advanced codex of laws about slavery, about government. He wrote the laws of Hammurabi. Today, after 4,500 years, the only way to find them was to dig down the holes in archaeology and to find somewhere in this place all these laws of Hammurabi. At a certain point, the laws became irrelevant, and we just went down the history, down the drain, somewhere in the history. A major difference between the laws of Hammurabi and the codex of our Torah, that today, after 3,500 years,
Still applies.
we don't take it from the archaeology. It's alive, it's a living Torah. It can be, you can say coincidence, you can say, but there is certain plus that the Torah is is still valid and still used until today. We don't need this to look something, to dig something from the ground and say, let's start to renew these holy documents. It says in the Torah, in Sefer Dvarim, before Moshe Rabbeinu dies, he makes a statement, Ki lo tishakach mipi zaro, meaning the Torah that I am giving you today, 3,500 years ago, will never be forgotten and won't be 1 minute in the history. It's a very responsible statement. You're talking about 3,000 years ago, not today, tomorrow. He says, I promise you, no matter what, Soviet Union, in the concentration camps, under the Inquisition, there won't be a situation that the Jews will be far away from Torah. And I think this prophecy has a lot of meaning today to us, especially those of us also that we came from the communist regime, and over there that we were forced not to keep it, but it didn't work, it didn't help. Once I was in a yeshuva of 200 people, and I tried to tell them that maybe it's better to make a smaller yeshuva of 50 people. So one of them told me, he said, Rabbi Yehoshua, Stalin couldn't do it to us. Don't even try. I told him, I take it as a compliment. You say, with all this KGB and Stalin and in Beria, they couldn't do it. We did it over there, we're going to do it over here. I say, you know what? It's a compliment. Ki lo tishakach mipi zaro. There should be a rabbi, there should be divrei Torah, there should be Zohar, there should be Kaddish. We don't care where we are and what are the circumstances. It should be there. Why? It's Moshe Rabbeinu blessing, I believe. Let's go forward. 200 years ago, after the Renaissance, the history in Europe, when the people for the New World, they start to create all kind of way of philosophies, a way of thinking, a new order of life. And one of the most popular way was socialism, that slowly, as it got like communism. And there were many books about it, even Karl Marx, that happened to be Mordechai Marx, that a son of a rabbinical family, he even wrote the manifest of the communism, and they even were able to build an empire based on the foundation of socialism and communism. But today, it's in the history. You can go to the library and It's very interesting. In English, in Hebrew, there is a word that's called utopia. Utopia, there is even over here, a parkway over there next to your yeshiva. So the utopia, it means the end of the day, something good. But in Russian, when you say utopia, it means it's the end of it's a very bad meaning. Something is not real, something like a dreamland, something like going to Disneyland for vacation. This we are going to find these books of communism, because it's very nice on the books, on the paper. On the real life, it's not real. So, but you see, for 200 years ago when it was written, it looks very good. It looks very real. It looks very true. And they really believe that by the new order of the world is going to be a better place to live. Not poor men, not rich men. They're going to be average. And then slowly they create another dictatorship based on poor people. At least written poor people. When I was in 88, I was in Moscow. So 7 o'clock there, I came from the synagogue. So everybody's going to the subways. They say, Rabbi, these are our people, let anash narod. At 9 o'clock, I saw all the limousine going to the Kremlin. So I say, let us sluga narod. This is the slave of the people. So you can call yourself a slave, but you're really not less than another dictator, another crazy person. But you have a nice title, the slave of the people, sluga narod. But very interesting one. So I believe that 200 years ago, it made a lot of sense. After 200 years, it lost its sense, it lost its value, it lost its importance. What we cannot definitely say now about the Torah, because the Torah was more than 200 years. We're talking about thousands of years. And even until today, the way of thinking, the philosophy of the Torah, it applies to our day in the most modern and developed time that we are living in. Because something true doesn't change over time. Because truth is truth. But people will tell you, how do we know that all this thing happened? How do we know? It's 3,000 years left, and what? And therefore, I saw a book that I have it over here. This book was written 900 years ago by the Maimonides, by the Rambam. And almost 1,000 years ago, he writes something that we are going to, what is so. Now, when you go back, when you come closer, you have more information. And he says over here, you have to know that every mitzvah that God gave to Moshe Rabbeinu, he said the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu got the Torah from heaven, it's a fact, that I got it from my parents. And then he gave it to, he taught Aaron, and then his children, and then he gave it to Yehoshua, and when they came to Israel, it went to the old people, the Zkenim, and then it go to Nevi'im. So, Moshe talks about, the Rambam 1,000 years ago talks about, in his life 2,000 years before, when the Torah was given. Then he said, then it was given to Yehoshua, then it came to, slowly it went to Israel, and over there, the first temple, the second temple, the Nevi'im, then it came to 1,800 years ago, when Rabbi Yehuda Nasi wrote the Mishnah, based on Moshe Rabbeinu verbal talk. So it means the Rambam lives about 900 years before when the Mishnah was written. For us is 1,800, for him is 900. Then he says, then he goes to, afterwards they say another 300 years, Rav Asher Beravina, who they wrote the Gemara. He goes 15 years and 100 years. And then he say it goes from a father to a son, from a father to a son. And it's very interesting how he comes to himself. He says like this. And so then he say when Rav Ashi finished the Talmud, which was 1,500 years ago, on his time, 600 years before him. And then he say there was in Israel there was Talmud, another one that Rabbi Yochanan said. And when all of them died, he say, there were the Geonim, which belongs to his time already, and the Svorim and the Geonim. And he said that my rabbi that lived about 1100 years ago, the Rif, he wrote a big book by the name Halachot Psukot, and his student Rabbi Itzhak Yehoshua, that was he say he was like an angel, and he knew the Talmud back and forth, and whatever he taught me and to my and for my father, I am writing now the halachot that I. So from 1,000 years ago, we have somebody who gives you a list about all his sources, and and it goes name by name, generation by generation, and he tells you, hey, we got it from here, we got it from here, we got it from here, and this, and it was very important, the idea of to deliver the Torah to the next generation. To deliver to the next generation, it was an essential part of the Torah. The Gemara says there is a very interesting story in the Gemara. The Gemara says that when the Romans were in Israel, one of the decrees was the rabbis should not appoint teachers to be the future rabbis. They wanted to break the chain. And they say that what did Rabbi Yehuda do? He went before 2 big cities, and he took 5 rabbis, his students, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Elazar, and he told them, I'm going to make a smicha, and he gave them the smicha of a rabbi, and he gave them and suddenly he saw that the soldiers are running after him. They wanted to kill them. He told them, please, my children, run away. They say, what about you? He say, I did my mission. I'm not afraid to die anymore. I prepared another 5 rabbis to continue. And when they came over there and the rabbis left and he was over there, they killed him with 300 swords and spears. Why they're so afraid of this? Because they knew something, that when he gave to another 5 students and another rabbi another 5 students, they cannot stop it. And the idea was to say the Torah was good. By a certain point, it was cut off. They couldn't do it. This was the smicha, that basically it was something that in Babylon they used to do it for many years. This was when I had my smicha, I insisted to be from Arav Mordechai Eliyahu, that he was took it from Arav Ben Ish Chai, and the Ben Ish Chai took it from Arav Somech, which is about 300-400 years ago, because you're going with the smicha, because it's not that suddenly somebody can say, okay, I'm here to teach you something new that happened, yes, I read yesterday in the New York Post, as opposed to somebody that came to us through the chain of rabbis for years, for thousands of years, and to continue the Masoret of Am Yisrael. So we definitely have a connection in the history between Moshe Rabbeinu and our times about name of rabbis, locations, and teachers and schools that were teaching the Torah. So you cannot say, Rabbi, at a certain point there was no Torah. And this is another chain that links us about this beautiful event of Ma'amad Har Sinai. Let's go to another thing before we go inside the Torah, to another thing that today, thank God, we have a very important science that's called archaeology. People are giving their life to go to dig underground, to going down and find all kinds of findings. And I give you a few of the archaeologists that talk about it. Professor William Albright, he says that the Jewish tradition, the national Jewish tradition, has a plus over other traditions because the structure that it was built and the archaeology that what we are finding all the time emphasize and enlighten the point of written in the Torah, which means there is no disagreement between archaeology and between religion. Professor Glick says, for many years I was dealing with archaeology of the Bible. And until today, I never took from the ground, from underground, any item, any city or any place that was contradicted to one word of the Torah.
Chronologically?
Chronologically and locationally. And Professor Benjamin Mazur says, if I'm going to conclude what I learned, all the archaeological findings that we found in Israel are not contradicted to the tradition of the Torah, nevertheless, are emphasizing and prove and enlightening the Bible and to understand better the history and the different nations that were around Israel until Shabbat Zion, until the last century. Professor Will Doran says in his book, The History of the Culture, the story of the Jews, that it's written in the Bible, was tested many times by the archaeology, and the result is that it passed the test. And every year we get more and more documents, monuments that are emphasizing, that prove to us the facts in the Bible. Professor Emanuel Wilkowski, he writes in one of his books, Ages of Chaos, he says that he found in a papyrus, which means a very old paper in Egypt. And over there he says that, talks about all the catastrophe that happened during the 10 plagues that God gave to Paro. And Professor John Garstein says that the text that he read, it looks like a copy of the book of Exodus. And they're not Jewish people. One of the foundings that they found in the desert of Sinai was, the archaeologists, tracks of many people, thousands of people, that are a lot of graves, but there is no way, no sources of water. It's been people lived over there, died many people, and continue, but they couldn't understand how can live many people without sources of water next to water. And he said that it's one of the questions that the Torah can answer. They don't have any physical answer to this. No explanation. But this is around all kind of circumstantial proofs about the Torah. The most important thing is that you read the Torah, and you want to know if the text of the Torah after 3,500 years follow the track of the Torah. Because if yes, no, we can say many stories where we can say, Rabbi, everything is good, but let's see the text itself. I give you a prophecy from the Christianity, by the way, that there was a prophet in the Christianity that lived 700 years ago in the Roman Empire. His name was Chrismosmotos, whatever his name was. And he says in his book, God will never let the Jews to go back to Jerusalem. Now, based on the time when the Roman Empire there, and the temple is destroyed, and Jewish people morally are hurt, it makes a lot of sense. There is just one problem. You don't build prophecies based on your common sense, because common sense has the ability to change based on the market. See all this, the traders over here. Whatever was good yesterday in the market is not good today. If you think it was yesterday, you have to find a different thing, be a shoemaker or a barber. But before I started, I will say that it's every few years I am getting articles, Rabbi, please read it. And this guy gave me a lot of work. His name is Nostradamus. Rabbi, he saw it. Rabbi, he did it. He wasn't a Jew. The only problem is that when Nostradamus wrote his prophecies, it was written like a poem.
Very.
Many years ago. But the idea is that you have to use a very wild imagination to interpret. And when you interpret prophecy, you can go, you can make, so it wasn't 4-legged, 3-legged, it wasn't Sunday, it was Monday, it wasn't moon, it was the really sun, and it's very vague. But I don't call it a prophecy. I call it like a nice story. Now you can make the dragon call it Moshe David. This is your interpretation. I'm talking about a real prophecy that it's written, that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote, and we can check it. That you don't have to make all kind of wild translations or interpretation, just what's written and what we have. And I'll take you to a small journey in this, with your permission. When God asked Moshe to take Am Yisrael to Israel, to the land of Israel, what he's telling them? Eretz, Zavat, Chalav Udvash. Milk and honey, very fruitful place, a lot of trees and a lot of Eretz Israel. Yosef Flavius, that was one of the people who wrote the history of the Jews 2,000 years ago, he wrote about the land of Israel in his book. In the 3rd chapter, in the 3rd part, he says like this: the land of Israel is a very fruitful land, and with such a easy weather, the climate is very comfortable, and the land is very good for agriculture. Therefore, when the Jews in Israel, the land is really shining and is really flourishing. And he says that there is no one wicked place in Israel, and in the Galilee there are thousands of people over there, and he says the least small village in Israel has 15,000 people. Kishlag. The Kishlag, the Kibbutzim, had 50,000 people. There was a small place over there, a small village. As the Torah says, Hashem, He brings you to Eretz Tova, Eretz Chita v'Seora, v'chulei v'chulei. But there is one but. There is a condition for the land of Israel to be fruitful. One small condition. Jews has to be there. If Jews are not there, it's a different story. And I will tell you something that happened. You happen to know him. There is somebody, his name is Mark Twain. You learned about him. Mark Twain, he went to Israel in 1867, 150 years ago. Jewish people were not there for about 16 centuries. And he says like this: Eretz Israel is like a woman that is mourning, like a curse on her that burned all its field and take all its power and put in handcuffs. Eretz Israel is abandoned. Eretz Israel is dark. Eretz Israel is just a dreamland. This is what he called it. When Moshe Rabbeinu talks about the last generation, he says like this in Parashat Nitzavim: Ve'amar ador ha'acharon, the last generation in the Galut, the ador ha'acharon, they are going to see the land of Israel, and the Nochri, the not Jewish people, are going to see the land of Israel. They are going to say, this land is cursed. Like either Mark Twain is translating the Torah, but using the same thing. Kichila asher ba, gofrit melech srefa kol arsa, it's a burned land, it's a deserted place, it's an abandoned place. Why? Because the Jews are not over there. The Nachmanides, 750 years ago, he says, based on the pasuk, "V'shamemu alei oyivechem," the enemies are going to destroy your land. He say like this. He say, we know, 750 years ago, that as long as the Jewish people will not stay, will not dwell in the land of Israel, it will never will be built. When it is going to be there, it's going to be rebuilt and flower. And today, Baruch Hashem, thank God, Israel today is flourishing. It's far above any kind of common sense. What's happening is why? Because the people of Israel came back to Israel. But let's go even more than this. Yechezkel, the prophet Yechezkel says the following. He says, "Ve'atem harei Israel." When the Jews are going to come back to Israel after many years, he promised the Jews to come back to it. It happened. Yechezkel was talking about this 2,500 years ago when the Jews were exiled to Babylon. You're going to come back to Israel. And you want to know what is the sign that is the time of the redemption? When the trees are going to give fruits again, and the land is going to be fruitful again, this is a good sign that the time of redemption is close. This prophecy gave 2,500 years ago. No nicknames, no adjectives, very simple thing. You will see it. There is a...
So you're talking about our time.
Our time. Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about the Galut, when Jewish people were exiled. Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about it in Parashat Kitavo, and he says very simple facts. He doesn't say no other thing, there's a translation. He says like this, you are going to be exiled from your land, and you're going to be spread out around the world. Baruch Hashem, there is no place in the world without Jewish people. Even Haiti, there was over there. The richest person is a Jewish guy from Syria. And he said over there another thing. He said that the biggest nation which are going to be your enemies are going to be like the eagles. Moshe Rabbeinu, 3,500 talks about eagles. Eagles was the sign of Roman. Eagles was the sign of Germany. You say so. In the United States of America. And he said that this for Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu said 3,500 years ago, all the empires dealing with eagles are going to be a big burden for the Jewish people. Some of them is going to be like the German, through force. Some of them will be like American, through smile. Mm-hmm. The concept is this, the result is the same thing. About a year ago, there was a big convention of many rabbis, and they asked a question. 100 years ago, from Europe came 3 million American Jews from Russia. And after 80 years, 100 years, it should be today at least 25 million. But today there are just 5 million. So they say, where are all the others? This is a very peaceful, spiritual Holocaust. People are losing themselves nicely, without no intermarriage, going from religion, and we lost another Jew. Today we had to be statistically just in America 25 million people. 4 generations people have children, they're growing up, but we went down.
Well, I have a question.
Go ahead,
Does it
sir.
say anything about, you said about the eagle, does it say anything about the snake?
What?
The sun
Whatever I don't see. Snake is something. Snake is like, I talk about what Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about. Moshe Rabbeinu says you are going to be Metei mispar bagoim. What does it mean? Moshe Rabbeinu says, you are going to be all the time minority. Now, Jewish people, equivalent to the Chinese people, we start in the same time. They exceed billion. We are still counting, where is the 18 million with, half a Jew, 1/3 of a Jew, you put everybody in you come to 18 million. 4,000 years, 1 billion Chinese, God bless them, and 1.2, and if you're counting all the Jews, Orthodox, Reform, whoever field it is a Jew, not more than 18 million around the world. זה נקרא, משה רבנו say 3,500 years ago, מתי מספר. You will never be a lot of people.
Even when we were during the time of King Solomon?
What?
Even during the time of King
It
Solomon?
never went out of the... In the King Solomon, there was a certain time that we grew up. Now Moshe Rabbeinu talks about... Moshe Rabbeinu tells to the Jewish people before he dies, let me tell you something. I'm teaching you, you say, we love you, you are the best. I know one thing. You're going to go to Israel, you're going to make problems. Idol worship, Hashem will have to exile you. He's telling them. You're going to be around the world, wandering, you're going to be prosecuted, you're going to be exterminated, you're going to be... One thing I promise you. You will never forget your Torah, and one day you will come back. That's what he's telling them. Now, 3,500 years passed. And today we say, you know what? He knew what he was talking about. Against all odds. This is what I'm referring to. It's not something that you take the Torah and say, it's written beseder, yes, no. He's talking to you. Moshe Rabbeinu say, I know after I die, ki ashchet ashchitun. The system is going to go to default or no fault. It's going to be like... It's happening. He's telling you're going to go, you're going to get there, He tells them exactly what will happen. Yes, Mike?
The values are most that God gives to Moses. Were they more based on ethical values or moral values?
I think...
As the categorical, whatever is true then until today, some of these laws, obviously, like the Ten Commandments, you cannot kill, is something that's very against the law today, as it would apply 10 years ago. So, is it more of an ethical thing that you have to do, or is it more of a moral thing that you as a human being have to commit?
I don't know how the divine thinking works. I don't know how it works. I know for me, it's like it can be either or. I think that, but even there is a big challenge until today. There is a question today. Our Torah says, as a value, which is a foundation of our civilization, not to kill. Now, for the last 20 years, 30 years in America, there is, I believe, Dr. Dworkin, that is challenging this. He says that a person that is, God forbid, is very sick, he has the right to choose his death and to commit suicide. So you see that even this value that look for me and you as something which is makes sense is being challenged all the time. Today in Israel there is a big dispute now among the rabbis. There is a certain point on the death of a person that if you take few of your organs, like heart or liver, and you can save somebody else's life. But he has to have a certain livelihood inside of him, because when he's dead, you cannot use it anymore.
Wow.
So, based off few rabbis, you take somebody that is after, God forbid, a car accident. It won't be okay. It's just a matter of time. He's a vegetable. He's going to die. It will take him 3 days to die, 5 days to die, God forbid. But now he's alive. Can I take the organs and save somebody else's life or not? It's a very big question. So the Ten Commandments are all the time under fire for many, all the time. Our Torah is very strict. As long as he is alive, you cannot touch him. Not everybody agrees to it. This doctor says if somebody is dying and he doesn't want to go to the suffer of the last days, and he wants me to inject him the poison, he make it from his own will, I cannot say no. And you can listen what he says. Now you ask me about ethics or morals. We believe under a divine law. For us, the Ten Commandments is not ethics, it's God's will, which makes it much more powerful. But this is. I would like to go to another aspect. Then we go to something from the parasha itself because it's getting late already. The Gemara says in Masechet Rosh Hashanah on the 25th page, Amar Rabban Gamliel, my father and my grandfather and my great-grandfather, they learn from father by son how much is the length of 1 month of the moon, from one birth of the moon to another rebirth of the moon. So we say the number that he gave is 29.53859. Talking about, it doesn't say we checked it, because I got it from the Babylonian astronomers. He's saying my father took it from his father. Moshe Rabbeinu gave one date, one time. And it's impossible to say that in the time of Rabban Gamliel, talking about 2,000 years ago, there was any kind of measurements, any kind of clock that can go to 10 thousandths of a second accuracy. It's impossible. And based on this, we built a Jewish calendar. And you know what? Something interesting happened when Jews started to come to be together today. Those were in Yemen for 2,500 years, and Central Asia for 2,500 years, and Europe for 1,000 years. And when they came to Israel, they came with the same calendar. It was never, now it's the 14th of Cheshvan and not 15th of Cheshvan. And it was based on this number that was given by Rabban Gamliel because somebody told him that Moshe Rabbeinu told it 3,000 years ago, use this number. And today, by the way, when they check it with the best atomic clocks, we get to the same numbers. Why? Because we believe that there is a certain holiness in this system that God gave it. It's not a human being wrote the Torah. It was given to us. We have just the ability, we have just the responsibility to give it to our next, to the children, to our next children. This is our responsibility. Today we spoke a lot about lecture about, but I'd like to take one of our words about and finish with this about one of the commandments, which called keeping Shabbat. How will we perceive Shabbat in a modern secular way of thinking? A day of rest. We call it a weekend. So we have it Shabbat, and Muslim make it Friday, and the Christian make it Sunday. It's day of family day, and I think we are missing the main aspect of Shabbat. What is the idea of Shabbat in Judaism? There is a mitzvah, as the Torah says in our parasha, you have to work 6 days. Sheshet yamim ta'avod. We don't promote bizdelniki in the Torah. We don't promote somebody to be sitting home for 6 days. Sheshet yamim ta'avod. On the 7 days, you have to rest. Why? Sometimes when you work 6 days and you make $1,000, if I'm going to work 7, I'm going to make $2,000. You think that the results of your success in life based on your efforts, which is it makes a lot of sense.
Only sense.
When we were in Russia, they say, "Tot ni rabot, tot ni est." You have to work, and we make from the work avodah zarah. Rabot, the religion of working. And if you don't work, it's the end of the world. In Judaism, we say you're going to work 6 days, but you have to know when you rest in the 7 days, you have to tell to yourself, I'm not working because it's me who made the efforts. I work because Hashem asked me to work, and I rest because Hashem asked me to rest. It's not my engine that's running the show. It's God's engine. My effort and my success are not the correlation. It's not a result of my. I can make a lot of efforts and work, and I can make less efforts and get because Birkat Hashem ita ashir. So Shabbat is a statement of Shabbat is a statement of Hashem. I'm making all the efforts. I'm using my mind to buy and to sell, but I know one thing. I am not the final word over here. So Shabbat is not just a day of vacation. Shabbat is the days of announcement. Hashem, you are the boss. Mikadeshei Shvi'i. This is the Mikadesh Shabbat. This is the idea of Kiddush Hashem by not working. You can see this. There was a very rich developer that they have to make a big construction. It happened Shabbat. A Jewish guy. They have to go after Shabbat for 1 hour. He say no. They told him, you're going to lose millions of dollars. He said, I don't care. Shabbat is beyond my word, and I have to stop it. And they stopped the work. But let's go to the depth. I had a very interesting case last week of peace between husband and wife. And I would like to make it, because I think it was a very strong point that I had to give it to them. They told me, Rabbi, we don't get along with each other. I told them, why? They say we are married for 5 years. We have 2 beautiful children. He works and she works. They were saving money. They bought a house. They have 2 cars. The kids are getting nice education. But we went to a vacation, just both of us, and we have nothing to talk about. We spoke about the children. We spoke about the money. We spoke about the mortgage. And then it's finished. I told him, you have a big problem. Because just in the vacation, when you're out of everything, you can really appreciate, you can evaluate how close you are to each other. Because the life, this 6 days of working, is very deceiving. You're busy. You don't have time to think. And one of my students told me, I'm too busy with work, I don't have time to make money. Sometimes, so the concept of Yom Shabbat is much deeper concept of a Jew. On Shabbat, you test yourself how you, next to your wife and children, next to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how your spirituality works. And when I preparing the show today, I could not forget my father, alav shalom, that how we used to celebrate Shabbat. 6 days used to work. From Sunday to Friday used to work. But then Friday night we have to eat fast because 10 o'clock he has to go to sleep because Saturday is the only day he can learn. So 5 o'clock he wakes up in the morning. I remember as a child. He goes outside to the balcony. He takes Shtayim Mikra v'Chat Targum. He reads all the parasha. Because his father told him like this and his grandfather told him like this. So from 5 to 6:30 he's reading the parasha. 6:30 he wakes us up and he goes to... Our Armenian start at 7:30, so he wakes up at 6:30, should be ready. We never are ready at 6:30, but it's another thing. But he goes because he has chavruta. He's learning with somebody once a week, he learns Torah. He's chavruta. He doesn't, it was winter, it was summer, it was 120 degrees, minus degree. I have a chavruta. He comes home after the shacharit, Sudash then Sudash another shur before mincha 2 hours, Sudash it and Arvit. Now we say Baruch Hashem. Now, so once we told him, can you skip this chavruta? He used to tell us no. During the week, you are entitled because I have my responsibility to pay the bills, to work. But once a week, Shabbat is my day with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as a child, I remember that for him, Shabbat was something that all the week was waiting for Shabbat. Vekipores Chevruta and Stein Mikra, and it was, and now I understand that he didn't finish the whole Shas, but his connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so strong. And during the week you cannot see it because you wake up in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you have to make shopping, and you have this and the kids and this PTA and this is to go over here and doctor appointment, like all of us we have to go through in life. But on Shabbat is the time that you really test yourself. How close you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you feel this connection, the Hasidim call Shabbat the big wedding. Once a week is a wedding between us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if you feel in a wedding, you can enjoy it. But if you feel, another half an hour, another 20 minutes, you went until 3 stars are going to go up, it's different. Somebody once, he was walking on the street, he saw $10,000 on the floor. It was Shabbos afternoon, so he told to your friend, can you punch me? He say, why? He say, I want to look for 3 stars and to say Shabbos is over. This is a different connection. Shavua Tov.